So, Granny, it's lovely to have you on the show today. Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited about our conversation.
I'm excited too. I've never been interviewed like this before.
Yes. Well, the main idea behind this is I want to inspire people to live long and healthy and happy lives like you have. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and you just answer like you would if you weren't being recorded.
Well, of course.
The first thing is, what do you feel has helped you to live till 99? You're now 99 years old.
Seeing the bright side of life. I won't dwell on anything that isn't pleasant. Full stop.
Amazing. And
I really do follow that. I thought, I'm not going to think about that. It's not nice.
so you just turn your head and ideas towards...
If I can do something about it, that's different. But if I can't do anything about it, it's just the way things are, then leave them. Forget about them, if possible.
Yes, I agree with you. I think it's so important to look at the bright side of things and to feel grateful for what you have.
Well, there's no point in looking at the miserable side of anything if you can possibly avoid it. I mean, you just make yourself miserable, don't you? I don't want to be miserable. I object to being miserable.
Yes, I'm exactly like you. And
I kick myself out of it if I feel miserable.
How do you do that?
Do something. Get up and move. Get up and move. Make a cup of tea. Turn the fire a bit higher because it's electric. Whatever makes me feel happy at that moment.
Nice. And in terms of health, I know that you promote walking a lot and eating healthily. What do you recommend to people? What can help them to be healthy?
Well, it's not a bit of use starting when you're old.
Okay, so start when you're young.
So if you can't, get the youngsters, tell them, walk. My husband was a wonderful example. He did long distance walking, and I was supposed to try and keep up with him if we were going walking together. Well, I soon abandoned that and said, hey, my speed, not yours. But we did walk as long as we possibly could. As long as he was alive at all, he would walk. And we just love to go out in the country, drive somewhere nice and have a really good long walk, preferably up hills and nearby moorland clad in heather. So the breeze and the sun brought this wonderful smell of heather, which was invigorating. And it was hilly. We were up and down hills, but we just loved walking. And I walked as a child, because when I was a child, nobody had cars. And I didn't get a bicycle till I was 11. So between the age of 5, going to kindergarten school, I walked to school. And it was quite a way. But you just did because everyone else did. It was a long time before we had friends who got a car. And not many people had them. This is way back. I was born in 1922.
1922. It's
so
incredible.
You can work it out. Hence, this year is going to be an important one.
Yes, 100th in September.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I think I'll still be here.
Well,
I intend to be. I intend to be.
Nice. And so you've spoken about walking and about looking at the bright side of life. How about in terms of nutrition and what you ate?
I never liked meat.
Okay.
The words I remember from my mother, and I don't remember that many, about food, was eat your meat. Because I didn't particularly want my meat. I liked fruit. I thought I could live on fruit at one point. Any sort of fruit. Grapefruit, oranges, bananas, apples, pears, peaches. And I still do love to eat fruit. I eat a lot of fruit. And if it's a meal, I'm happy with a lot of vegetables. Meat, well, I suppose you have to have a little bit, but I don't have a lot. So I'm not far from being vegetarian.
Not far. You like fish, though. You said you
But
like
I do
fish.
like fish. Oh, yeah, that's different. That's different. Fish is different. I like fish.
Okay, nice.
I like fish.
So a lot of fruit, a lot of vegetables, fish. And what do you think people nowadays do that is detrimental to their health? What do you think that the habits that people have nowadays that maybe isn't a healthy way of living?
And they get straight in the car,
Okay.
for one thing, even if it's a short distance, which to me is so stupid. Walk, it's so good. You feel so much better if you walk. But, you know, I know much younger people, and I say, leave the car, just walk around. A lady who doesn't live very far away from me, I say, have you come in the car again? You should walk. I said, if you want to keep walking when you're my age, keep walking. If you don't keep walking, you won't keep walking.
Absolutely. Yes, we've spoken a bit about walking already, and so lots of fruit and vegetables in terms of nutrition. And how about sleep? How have you treasured your sleep over your lifetime?
Well, sometimes I don't sleep well.
Have you always made it a priority to sleep a certain amount of hours?
No, I don't count the hours. I just go to bed at what I think is quite an early time. And if I don't go straight to sleep, I put a bedside light on and read for a bit. And then I put my book away because I'm beginning to yawn and go to sleep. So I don't have a lot of problems about sleeping. Sooner or later I fall asleep, and I don't worry if it's a bit later, because unless there's something important for the morning, as I have to get up early, I don't have to get up particularly early. But
No.
usually I'm awake anyhow, so I'm ready to get up at a sensible time.
Nice. And what sort of daily habits have you had during your life that you think, aside from walking and eating lots of fruit and vegetables, that you think have contributed to you living till 99, for example? Because people listening might want to live a long and a healthy life. And what do you think are other habits that you were doing that sort of supported you?
I get into my garden. I have a big garden, and apart from cutting the grass, which I'm happy to let somebody else do, pushing a lawnmower doesn't interest me very much. I love to look after the garden, and I do little bits of digging and put plants in, and generally cut off dead heads and things like that from plants. And I love being in the garden. We bought the house, my husband and I, it must be nearly 40, 50 years ago, and we bought it because it had a long garden, which at the time was just ploughed over. But we soon got it into shape and made a plan. Being keen on art, I could draw a plan and figure out where certain trees, certain plants would look good. And we more or less followed my original drawings. And so I just love my garden. And if I don't walk anywhere else, I walk to the far end of my garden. It's about 100 feet, not 100 yards. How far is it?
Well, I don't know, we're not in your house.
No, I'm just looking at the garden here to sort of have an idea. Anyway, it's longish. It's longish. And I walk the bottom of the garden if I don't go out for a walk along the street, because I'm not madly keen on walking up the street by myself. Because if I did fall, it would be pretty horrible. I haven't fallen yet, so I don't intend to, but I prefer to walk up the road with a companion, a lady who comes to visit me often. And I say, oh, come on, Sue, we'll have a walk. So I like to keep active, because if you don't disturb to continue, do you? There's not much point. If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yes, if you don't use it, you lose it. So when you're talking now about the garden, it's nice because you're both talking about physically walking down the garden, but also the connection with nature in general.
Oh, definitely. I couldn't live without a garden. I really couldn't. It'd be like being in a prison. I just couldn't do that. We've always had a house that had a big enough garden. we wouldn't buy a house unless it had a good-sized garden, because originally we grew a lot of food in the garden. We had rows of peas and beans. Children got up early in the morning and ate all the little green peas before we had time to pick them. But it was all fun. It was all fun. And I still love tending the garden, although I don't grow vegetables anymore. I have fruit. But I don't have any veggies.
And in terms of activities, I know that when I look at you and your behavior, I notice that you're very present with what you're doing. So when you're walking, you might notice flowers and you pick up and you pause. Last night you commented on the sky and the color of the sky.
Oh, well, I love art. I love pictures. I love paintings. I used to love doing it. And I love beauty in nature, in things that are fabricated, the garden in particular. The garden is the special. The garden's always been special.
The sky also.
And the sky. I face the northeast from my rear windows at home, and the sunsets are still so beautiful sometimes. I just revel in the beauty of the sky quite often.
This is exactly what I mean. It's taking a moment to pause and appreciate what is right in front of your eyes.
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't. And I have a lovely little display in my front garden, which is only very small. People walk up my little road. It's a very quiet road, hardly any traffic, and they never ever look at the gardens which they are passing. Well, most of the gardens at the front are pretty boring. Some people just fill them with gravel and one shrub in the middle. But mine looks pretty. It's a rockery and it has lots of rock plants.
And some water maybe.
Yeah, I think I do, thank you. cut this bit.
Yes, but taking a moment to look at the gardens that are close by and observing.
I look at everyone's garden as I pass and think, oh dear, it's all gravel. Oh dear, there's nothing but grass. Oh, here's one. They're nice people because they've got a nice garden. I don't know whether it's always true, but that's my thinking as I walk along and walk up the local area, different directions, practically every day unless it's bucketing down with rain. And I always just look at the gardens. It's boring looking at cars on the road unless you're wanting to cross carefully. And I just look at everybody's garden and criticise them. Well, they're not there, so they don't know.
No.
But I just like gardens, and I'm sad if someone has a garden and doesn't enjoy it the way I do and plant it with something interesting or pretty, which is not difficult to do because the front gardens are usually very small. And yeah, I just love the garden.
One last topic. I know that you treasure your relationships and you are very connected with people. You've also maintained long years of conversation and written letters with people. I thought maybe you'd like to share some of this with the audience and the people listening.
Can you name any specific thing?
I just feel in general how much you treasure relationships in your life. So for example, if we look at your neighbors and June and Lynn, or your new friend Mary, and how much they make a difference in your life.
Oh, they do make a huge difference. If I didn't have someone either coming to see me or at the end of a telephone, which I could not live without a telephone, I might as well die as do without a phone. I'm always telephoning people. I love to phone people. And I do write to people abroad still, mostly at Christmas. I sent to several people who are in other countries, and people in France in particular, who I've always been in contact with. And,
yeah, you stay in touch a long time.
It's all people, you know, it's all people. If I'm stuck in the house, I phone somebody if I feel bored and have a nice conversation with a friend if they're in. If not, I'll try another friend. Usually can get onto somebody and say, hey, I'm sitting on my own. Are you busy? Oh, I just wanted to ask you. And that starts something off.
Yes, it's all about the people.
I'm a bit of a chatterbox, I think, really.
Now I know where I get it from.
Well, it passes down the family.
Yes, the chatterbox. Yes, I think the connection.
I think chatterbox is a nice word anyway.
Yes, it's one way of looking at it. It is quite nice. Yes, the connections. I think this is a great part of your strengths, how much you've managed to stay in touch with people over the years through correspondence, the people in Norway that you met. You maintained written relationships with them for a long time.
Yeah, I have.
30 years,
very
40
long
years.
time. Oh, I can't count how many. But we went there and we loved the people there. We were happy there. And I write to other countries as well. Switzerland. I write to Switzerland at least twice a year. Christmas and perhaps Easter or sometime. And they seem to remember me quite well, so I'm very flattered that they do. I don't send them photographs anymore. But no, I have a lot of lovely friends, and I think that makes life worthwhile.
Yes.
However old you are, even if you don't get out of the house, I would still be in touch with people by telephone, by email, and that's the most important thing, really, apart from day-to-day friendships and day-to-day contact with neighbours and people around about. I think it's the most important thing. I like people, and I think they know it. And anybody's welcome to come and call and see me, and they know that too. They don't do it as often as they should. But I'm delighted when they do.
Yes.
So I'm happy.
Nice.
And you can't go on living if you're not happy. There's no point. No point. And if you can't think of ways that will make yourself happy, then I don't know what to say to you. Because you've got it in your own hands, in your own life. You can contact people. If I feel miserable, I ring somebody up. And then I'm soon feeling brilliant again.
Yes, you can shift things.
Keep in contact with lots of people, and that really keeps you going very, very nicely, I have found.
Well, you're a huge inspiration to me, Granny. I always look up to you. I often think, what would Granny do? Because also, and this is something we haven't discussed so far, but you manage your emotions and you stay very calm and composed a lot of the time. And I think that's...
Well, yes, I suppose I do.
Yes, you do.
I had to keep calm and composed when you were 3 and 4 years old. My goodness, I had to. I had to keep a tight rein on you. You were a little terror.
Yes, I was when I was 3. Yes, it's good that I grew up.
You'd have hurled yourself into the canal if I hadn't had you tight hold.
Yeah. But you are very calm and composed and stoic, and I think...
Generally speaking, I am.
And grateful also. You show a lot of gratitude.
Well, I've always loved all my family, and it's tremendous help to me now. They're wonderful. Wonderful.
Right. Thank you so much, Granny, for being on the show today. I want to inspire other people to live healthy and happy and fulfilling lives like you have so far, and I think there isn't a better role model as far as I'm concerned of how to live healthily. What would be your last word for people that are going to listen or watch this? What would be the last word you'd like to say to them?
Always do your best to be cheerful.
Always do your
Because
best.
if you're trying to do it, you'll find it just comes naturally.
Nice, wonderful, thank you.
And other people will realise that you're worth bothering with. If you're going to be moaning and miserable, you don't have many friends. So it pays you to think of nice things, think of nice people, think of your lovely family, and be happy.
Amazing. Thank you, Granny. Thank you so much.